Taylor?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Closing my door?
You sit in the back.
Bro, I paid for the Uber.
And I'm your girl.
Bro, this is 2026, bro. What are you talking about?
2026, you sit in the back.
Nah, bro, I paid for this ride, though. Like,
And that doesn't matter. I'm your girl. You're a dude. You sit in the back. What's not clicking? Am I right?
I'm not saying anything.
She knows I'm right.
I'm just driving.
She knows I'm right. That's why she's not saying nothing.
All right, we're here, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
you really think she was right, though? That's crazy. You're a girl's girl, huh?
Oh.
Whatever.
You need to do when you come home from work, just like I do every other night, okay? He's gonna say, well, you should be cooking every night because I pay the bills. But guess what? Guess what, buddy? That's not how it's gonna work around here. You're gonna put in some extra work when you get home.
Well, why don't you go to there while I'm doing this?
Because I need to make sure you're doing it correctly. What are you talking about? Don't try to push me out of my kitchen.
Yeah, well, you don't need to be up in my space while
I'm not in your space. I'm just monitoring the situation. I'm making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And when you're done, you're going to clean all those dishes in that sink. Because they're not going to do themselves. And I damn sure ain't going to do them. Not after the day that I had staying home all day. I'm stressed out. And you're going to serve me dinner, too.
Blood clot name go Landalo, Marshall. You can't name go Landalo. Marshall, you can't name go Landalo. Why you call up my blood clot name?
Never tell your name go Landalo.
What do you mean say you can't name go Landalo?
Jesus Christ.
Why you can't name go Landalo?
See you later, I'll beat you. You not bump up like that, mama.
You can't the blood clot name go Landalo, boy.
Mom!
Me not do it.
Mom!
Me not do it. Me not do down the far away.
You blood clot name. Mommy! Boy! You can't name go Landalo.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And peace and salutations to the Lord's elect out there feeding the sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai with sincerity and charity. You see these women out here. What are they doing, man? They're beating up men, right? They're telling men orders, man. You got men bowing down to one knee for a woman, right? You got men on these shows going to you got what is it? These shows where one man tries to prove himself to 10 women, right? You got man, all this bugged out, right? You got all this bugged out, nonsense, man, right? Just the book of Jeremiah 31 and 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord had created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man, right? You see all these dudes out here now, and letting these bitches stomp over them, right? You get in these dudes, and we're not talking about just any dude, man. You got professional athletes, right? Famous people, man. They're out here paying their woman, paying for these women's other, I mean, they're out here. You got Deontay Wilder. This guy got in a situation where he was paying his baby mama, right? Paying for kids that her kids, right? Kids that weren't even his, and then she ended up giving money to the giving part of his money to a different baby daddy, right? That's how bugged out this shit is. These women, they think they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? The Lord's about to take all that shit away, right? This book of Isaiah 32 and verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine, right? Yeah. There's not gonna be no more government aid for you bitches, right? There's not gonna be no more jewelry, no more gold rings, no more fancy clothes, no more makeup, no more hot showers, no more air conditioning, right? No more getting whatever the fuck you want, right? Because that's all that shit. The Lord's about to take that away from you, and you're already seeing that it getting hard out here for women. That's why you see these women out here. They're going on social media asking for people. Could somebody pay for my bills, right? Could somebody pay for this, right? There was one woman. She texted one of the brothers. She basically made up some whole story. She was saying how hey, she was asking for money. Can you pay me for this? I don't know who the fuck you are, right? Asking me for some goddamn fucking money, man. Get the fuck out of here, right? Saying, I'll do anything, right? And then they start making up, making up lies. I'm not gonna be able to celebrate Christmas, man. Fuck your Christmas. We don't care about you fucking bitches, man. You bitches are evil, right? And for the elect men, right? The Lord's gonna provide for these men, right? And you're gonna see the standards completely change. There's gonna be a lot less men out there, right? There's gonna be a lot less men, right? And there's gonna be too many women, right? A lot of these women, they're gonna look for men for a house, right? They're gonna need a man for a house, right? They're gonna need a man because it's gonna be so bad out there. People are gonna be getting raped, right? They're gonna need that. And on top of that, they're gonna need the man for protection, because the Lord is dealing with the men, right? And we're gonna have those spiritual powers, right? And these standards that these bitches have, man, it's gonna be all out the window. You have to make $1 million a year, you have to make $500K a year. You have to be 6'5", right? You gotta buy me this, you gotta buy me that. All that shit's gonna go out the window. A lot of these bitches, man, the Lord's gonna fucking kill them because of their pride, right? And on top of that, a lot of these women are adulterous, right? So the Lord's gonna make sure, he's reserved their judgment for the end, right? A lot of these bitches, what they're getting, they're useless because they got all these different they got dick from all these different niggas, right? So they're already useless, right? In the eyes of the Lord, if a woman commits adultery, right, she's gonna get put to death, right? She starts sleeping with all these different men. That's an evil ass bitch, man. But a lot. The Lord, he's not gonna give those women to his men, right? A lot of those women are gonna be what you call them. Basically, those are gonna be the ones leftovers, right? Those are gonna be the ones that are looking for a man, but they're not gonna be able to find it. Right, a lot of them are going to end up getting killed, getting raped. Right, that's the shit that's going to actually go down. You're going to see this happen. Right? It says right here, ICE agent pleads guilty to raping a woman held in ICE detention. Right? You got these dudes, they're raping Guatemalan women, right? These Northern Kingdom women, right? And now they're going to go in these houses. You best believe, the so-called BW, man, she's about to get, Esau's about to get his share of, so-called BW, right? They're gonna go and these ICE people, they're gonna start snatching people up when no one's looking, right? Start raping, right? And it's gonna get real bad, right? It says, the book of Isaiah 32. and it says, let's go at verse 2. It says, a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadows of a rock in a great rock in a weary land, right? So like I said before, a lot of women, when shit hits the fan, they're gonna be looking for a man, right? But they're gonna be looking for the men of the Lord, and they're not gonna be looking for these wicked ass motherfuckers, because it's the same thing. It's the other way around too, right? The men of the Lord are not gonna be taking in these wicked ass bitches, right? By then we're gonna be gone, and if you know these women happen to find somebody, right? You know, speaking of these evil bitches, you know, whatever's left is gonna just lead to their destruction, right? You know, because either, you know, if they're not with the men of the Lord, they're gonna die, right? They're gonna die through a famine. Someone kills them, right? Or they're gonna get destroyed by that nuclear missile, or that nuclear fire, right? It says, 1 Timothy 2:15, notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety, right? So that's what's gonna happen. These women are gonna get with the man of the Lord, right? And they're gonna be desperate, right? And they're gonna get saved through childbearing, right? You know, because they're gonna see us with those. You know, they're gonna see the Lord is dealing with us, right? And you know, Lord willing, we endure unto the end, and we get those spiritual powers, right? But you're gonna see, you know, this whole spirit of this woman saying, you know, you're an idiot, you're a goon, right? Oh, you got back from work, go cook me food, go take this garbage out. You know, whatever the case might be, the spirit of these women barking out orders. You're gonna see that, you know, all that shit, right? You're gonna see that shit go out the window, man. You know, when shit hits the fan, you know, there ain't gonna be no more Instagram, right? There ain't gonna be no more, you know, posting yourself online. And there ain't gonna be no, you know, pop the balloon, right? There ain't gonna be no, you know, social media, you know, for these, you know, bitches to exalt themselves on, right? Because that's really what they're doing, you know. It's mainly social media was was one of the ways Esau, he gave these women such a, what's the word, you know, position of power, right? Through social media, you know, you have, and if you just see for yourself, right, you can go on any woman's Instagram, right, or whatever, YouTube, right, whatever app you use, right, and you will see, you know, with a lot of these women's posts, you have dudes in their comments, bro. You know, dudes in their comments, and I'm talking about, you know, you have straight up, just the ratio, man, is crazy. You have these dudes really just, you know, saying the most outlandish, you know, giving themselves such a low level, right? Putting themselves at such a low, and you're putting these women at such a high, putting them on a high pedestal, right? You got these dudes buying them money, paying for their meals, right? You got dudes, you know, I mean, man, you know, just, you know, paying for these bitches, you know, vacations, right? Meanwhile, they're out here sleeping with a bunch of dudes, right? You know, it just, you know, on that same same thing, they're not even getting anything back, right? So, you know, you're gonna see that, you know, the Lord's gonna put an end to that, you know, that to that power that these bitches are getting, man, right? You know, once shit hits the fan, man, that's when, you know, everything comes in order, and you know, when you know, the Lord has to take out a lot of these other, you know, these men too, right? It's the book of Isaiah 13, and it says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? So, the Lord, he's talking about the Israelite man, the elect man, and this also is speaking about what, a lot of these men out here, right? These other men, the Lord's not dealing with them. The Lord's gonna just kill them, man. He's gonna just take them out, and whether that's through means of war, famine, right? Whatever the case is, when is how often you see a bar of gold, in the middle of the street, right? And how often you see a very valuable bar of gold, just sitting there. It's not very common, right? So a man will be more precious than fine gold, and this is just a scriptural prophecy. And the only way a man will be more precious if the Lord he creates a balance, right? And he makes it how do I say this? He levels out the playing fields, so to speak, right? Because there's a lot of men out there, right? And and a lot of these men are heathens, man. They're not calling on the name of Yahweh Hashem outside, right? They're not, they're not, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, right? So the Lord, he's gonna take a lot of these dudes out too, not just these women, but a lot of these evil ass dudes, right? Because a lot of these niggas are adulterous, right? Sodomites, they swing both ways. They're bisexual, right? So the Lord, he's gonna wipe out a lot of these dudes out here as well, right? For all the but I'm speaking, he's gonna wipe all these wicked ass people, right? And but he the Lord, you best believe he's he's gonna set an order to things, right? Because those videos that I played in the beginning, this shows how out of order this place is, right? This is the book of Genesis 2:18. It says, the Lord said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him, right? That helper is a woman, right? A woman is supposed to be a helpmate. It's not supposed to be the other way around. This man, getting down on his knees, doing everything for this woman, right? No, man, that's completely out of order, right? The woman was made from Adam, right? And the woman was supposed to be below the man, right? And that's why when Yahweh Hashem Yahushai gives us these spiritual powers, right? And he's gonna also allow us, right, to never go off, never sin again, right? And that these women will come correctly, right? That's when everything will go in proper order, right? So it's not gonna be like this forever, but until then, we just have to keep waiting, right? Keep enduring, right? And a lot of these women, right? You can just, if you see them, right, you can just claim them. You don't even have to actually. Some of them, you might see, that might be very, pretty looking, right, or whatever the case might be, right? But you don't want to actually, have to deal with any bullshit, any distractions. You can just claim them, right? Because what the Lord said, store up your treasures in heaven, right? And the Lord said, we'll I'm paraphrasing here, but we'll lose on this side. We'll gain back 100-fold, right? So you can claim a woman, and then you can have them in the kingdom. You're not going to even be missing out on anything, right? You don't even have to worry about if you didn't get to speak to that person or X, Y, and Z, or or if she because if she's not already with the Israelite man, you can just go ahead and claim them, right? So that's But that's another topic for another lesson, right? But with that being said, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect and the 1/3. Shalom.